Are we doing this again?
I don't know how to open it. I don't want to just say
We're back.
We're back. Woo!
Hello. Lasagna is out of the oven.
Why do we keep going back to lasagna?
I don't know.
I think Daniel's hungry.
Number one quarantine food.
Lasagna?
Yeah. So wholesome.
Bechamel lasagna? Mwah. Lovely. Who doesn't love lasagna? Except like terrible people.
I don't know. People will call it pasta cake. I really don't like that.
Who calls
just
it
pasta?
pasta cake?
I've heard people
Just
call
pasta. I don't know.
They are terrible people.
I'm speechless.
It's not a cake.
It's just pasta.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's like calling it a pasta burger too. It's just not correct. It's not a cake. There's no.
Sounds like a David Pasternak signature thing. The pasta burger.
Okay, we're done. That's the episode's can. Anyway, hello, 201 Podcast. I'm Adam. Daniel's here. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for asking. Alex is here as well. Alex, how are you?
Here, I'm okay.
Oh, that's good. I just want to point out, Alex is wearing the signature burgundy sweater. You love to see it. I got my 501st Legion Star Wars sweater on. I thought I wouldn't wear a flannel.
I thought that was a Laval Rocket sweater. I couldn't see the entire thing. I saw the top and it just...
Galactic Republic 501st. And Daniel, what are you wearing today?
I am wearing a mid-2000 Pittsburgh Penguins jersey. That was supposed to have a name on it.
But
it didn't.
But the store is gone. That promised me the Marc-Andre Fleury customization.
But you got a refund.
I did get my refund and this jersey.
You can probably get it. You can probably go to
guys.
Sport Check, maybe.
I don't think I can anymore because Fleury's not on the team. And you're like, oh, copyright.
Oh.
But they'll be like, would you like a Brandon Tanev instead?
Comes with a signed portrait of that crazy picture. All right, guys.
You want a full price Dion Phaneuf jersey?
Yeah.
They'll still go hot in Toronto.
Dion, part of the most overrated world junior. No, I'm not even gonna try it.
Oh no.
Second
Double Dion.
God, I love the best part about that clip is Pierre McGuire says it, then he waits till the next intermission when Gord's done, and then he'll say it again. Like, and that was we get it. We heard you the first time.
So double Dion.
Double Dion. I mean, great call. Give him that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't outshine that a Ken. It's forever ruined that memory.
I love when they show that clip.
And they cut it.
Every year they always cut the I can.
They should keep it in there. Makes it so much better.
It's more authentic.
You're ruining a piece of Canadian sport history.
But every once in a while, you just gotta throw it in there and see if people will catch it.
I could see
because I feel like there's definitely people who won't catch it.
I could see you or Adam kind of being in that like editing room one day in TSN, going like the two buttons, like keep it in or don't keep it in there. Yeah.
Every once in a while.
It's like that Looney Tunes thing of it's the duck and Bugs Bunny, and it's like duck season, and the duck will rip it apart, and it's his rabbit season, and then Bugs will take it away. Looney Tunes references on the 201 podcast.
But you know the best time for it to be put on is in the summer when there's at a point where there's literally nothing. I think it's around MLB All-Star Weekend where there's literally absolutely nothing sports related other than the All-Star game.
Mm-hmm.
You on TSN or Sportsnet, you do like a top 10 and you put that top 10 hockey calls and you make that number one and you keep the I can in there and see if anybody notices. Because if they notice, it will be trending on Twitter.
So what is a worse offense in hockey? That the I can or the fact that we can't watch the golden goal?
Oh, we can't watch the golden goal.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Not even the question.
No. Because it's like I can watch Jordan Eberle's goal without the commentary and it still feels impactful. I can't even watch the golden goal at all.
You can hear Sidney Crosby, the golden goal, and that's it. It's that. There was last season, there was a thing on Sportsnet with Elliot Friedman and Sid. And
Sidney Crosby?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. How many Sid?
Tim and Sid?
Tim and Sid. Sid 6-0.
Anyway, with Sidney Crosby and their scorer of the golden goal, and they're in like a home theater. It looked like Kessel's, but it's probably Crosby's, let's be honest. And they're looking at all the clips, and they're showing clips of the game, and I'm like, oh, maybe they got permission for this segment. And then you just hear the audio and still frame pictures for the golden goals. Anyway, though, we should get on to hockey because season is, it's a few days away, guys. We're in the midst of that awkward stage where teams are making cuts to their rosters. You know, the waiver wire is just filled with players, and we're all hoping Josh Hosang gets claimed tomorrow. I hope Noah Juleson does not get claimed and all this fun stuff that's going on. Though we will start with probably the most shocking news of the week. It's been a weird couple weeks. First, Chara leaves Boston part ways with Chara. Corey Crawford, who had just signed in free agency, I think this October 10th was the day of the signing. He signed with New Jersey for 2 years after having a bit of a messy breakup with the Blackhawks. Announces his retirement after 10 seasons. And I'm just going to read you guys some stats here. And we'll talk about what this means for New Jersey in a second, but I feel like we need to celebrate Corey Crawford here. 2 Jennings trophies. 3rd in regular season games played for the Blackhawks, goalies obviously, 488. 3rd in regular season wins. By the way, the guys ahead of him are like Esposito, so just for frame of reference here. 2nd in playoffs games played, and the Blackhawks all-time winningest goalie in playoff history, 52 wins. He was in net for 2 of those Stanley Cups. We sit here and we celebrate Corey Crawford. I want to get you guys, give me a thought or two on Crawford. On the Crow, we call him. I'll go to the guy wearing black, like a crow. Daniel.
Yeah, I remember when Corey Crawford broke in, and I remember 2 things. There was that carousel of goalies in Chicago. It was like Cristobal Huet, Nikolai Happy-Bulin, and then Antti Niemi, and then Marty Turco. And then you try to figure things out with that. And then eventually Corey Crawford, 7 years after he was drafted, becomes the guy for them. And at the time, I'm like, the Blackhawks are so blessed that this keeps happening to them. Not so much the case now, but what they were able to do then to get Corey Crawford, who's been such a consistent presence for those cup runs. He's a guy that, you're really going to associate with Chicago. And I didn't think I would. And the one thing I kind of look back on, it just, you take that stability for granted in a way where it's like, yeah, Corey Crawford, Chicago. And suddenly, as he turns 36 and he leaves the team, it's like, okay, we did. I feel like I should have appreciated him more for the type of goalie he was, because I remember I always had a bias against him for some reason, and this is a weird way where like I didn't think I think he should have made the Olympic team, but I also didn't think that he should have made the Olympic team. But he was that guy that, I know that we criticize Jonathan Taves for it, but it's just one of those guys that, he really grew with. He really became that guy in Chicago after, again, I remember Marty Turco trying to be the guy there at the end of his career, and it just did not work out. And Corey Crawford, great goalie, it's so understated, but it's also not understated.
Yeah, there are, when I saw the announcement, I thought, all right, there's going to be a few trains of mine here. And Alex, the first thing I saw was, most overrated goalie ever. And that's just simply not the case.
I mean, go look at his stats from last, they've been bad. Okay, maybe not bad. They've been less than good the last few years. And I think one of the only players on that team that has been somewhat consistent has been Corey Crawford. I think there's an argument to be made in modern history. He's probably their best goalie.
Oh yeah.
Not even a question. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I don't want to say their entire history because I think it's unfair. Yeah. I think it's unfair, but I think in modern history, he's
he played a single game in 2010. Obviously, Niemi was in net for them that year.
Yeah.
He probably could have done a better job if he had. I was looking at his DB page, and I didn't realize how many of those few years Crawford had, and he just kind of bounced back and forth. He never really stayed with the Blackhawks. He's a very interesting case, Corey Crawford. And he really does not get the credit he deserves. Because, I mean, Yeah, they had great. Obviously, we all know what prime Seabrook and Kane and Taves and Duncan Keith looked like. But man, again, you make a really good point of look at what he's done the past couple of years. Go and rewatch that play-in series versus Edmonton, and even the struggle they had against Vegas. Crawford was their best player.
Yeah.
Honestly, I know people were going on about like Taves after game one and that, but by the end of that run, it was Corey Crawford. And we're sitting here, we're celebrating Corey, as we rightfully should. Great career, fantastic career. But he did kind of do the Devils a little dirty here. A little bit, because right at the start of that free agency, it was for weeks we were saying, that's even months, the whole year, that it was going to be this great goaltending market. And the Devils went in, they already had Mackenzie Blackwood, who we have become great fans of the show, thanks to Alex. And they bring in Crawford, this veteran goalie who would have been a great sort of figure, the Obi-Wan to Blackwood being Luke, signs a 2-year deal, and now a few days before the season starts, he dips.
Mm-hmm. Wait, so was Robin Leonard Anakin?
I don't know about that. No, Stan Bowman's Anakin.
Or Antti Ratna, because he
Stan
was
Bowman's Anakin.
No, yeah, Stan Bowman's Anakin, because it was like he comes in, he's like the son. He can also be Luke.
I thought we were staying with goalies, because I think Antti Ratna, because he was good already, but then he wanted to leave Chicago.
Yeah, but no, because Bowman was great. He was this heralded general manager, could have been the best of all time. You know, he's created from his father, who could be like, because the Emperor sort of played the force of midichlorians to make Anakin. And in another sort of way, it's more biological, but then of course Stan comes from Scotty. But then, like, he's great in that. But then the moment things go south for the Jedi Order or the Blackhawks after the whole Pecorine thing, 2017, rewatch that series, he's fallen to the dark side. Everyone hates him. And I would say that if anything, Corey Crawford is more, I don't know, who's a character that sort of unjustly gets run out of town. He's like Rose.
Coleman Trebar? Okay.
No, not member of the Jedi High Council, Colton Trebar, who he's a councilman. What are we doing? Anyway.
I don't know.
Okay.
But like, honestly, Corey Crawford committed 2 years to this squad, and then just sort of, it's his right, and he's had health problems in the past.
Uh-huh.
But this was pretty scummy. I don't think you can really deny that. This is pretty, and now, like, who's out there? Are they going to claim Michael Hutchinson, Charlie Lindgren, Dustin Tokarski is on waivers?
Hey.
I love him, but
from that standpoint, yeah, like, it is a little bit of a punch to the gut. I guess I give Crawford the benefit of the doubt because of literally everything that's going on around COVID, plus his injuries in the past with head injuries. But if I'm being very honest, I do think that without I think it might be better without Corey Crawford, and I'll explain why. Because I think there's a guy like Jimmy Howard out there. Like, if I'm them, I go get Jimmy Howard, who, yes, is on the back end of his career, but he's not very good anymore. And the New Jersey Devils are not very good. Like, where are they is there any chance they make the playoffs?
Oh, you're gonna laugh at my list later.
Oh, don't tell me you have the Devils make.
We'll get into that.
There's no chance they make the playoffs. Wouldn't it be better if they just got a lower pick? Like, for the sake of them.
Well,
even
they have. Let's not forget, Jack Hughes is still going to be a really good player.
Sure.
They could. Yeah. Could they use some more in the defense? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think for Blackwood and how important it would have been for him, I think Crawford would have been just such a great guy to have around. And no respect to Jimmy Howard, but it's Jimmy Howard. If we're going to go on about goaltenders that probably, get too much credit. And I love Jimmy Howard for the jokes of winning 2 games last year. I mean, Detroit love having those goalies that probably are overrated because they were part of monster teams. Crawford's the opposite of that. Like, how do you go from I've got this Corey Crawford, amazing goaltender, few Stanley Cups, to hey McKenzie, your partner is Jimmy Howard, and recent performance is a hell of a drug.
I think before I get to that point about Jimmy Howard, which is kind of funny that we're talking a lot about him again, but I think 2 things with Corey Crawford is, one, this is a guy that, he knows he's at the back end of his career, and I think he wanted to go out on his own way. And I can understand that because he played for so long. He was so dominant in his prime for those cup runs. And we saw what happened since, the Nashville series incident 2017, where he's just always been injured. The team keeps declining, but he still keeps trying to come back. So I understand it was a bit of a high cap hit. I understand. I think if this is a guy that wanted to play and had that injury history, then and this is coming from someone that didn't know what the market was like in terms of what teams were offering him, but I think he wanted to kind of, in a way, and I'm going to use Fred VanVleet as an example, he wanted to bet on himself. He went to a place where he felt that he needed to get the term to show that he can still play. And, I understand that. The only issue I can have with that is the cap hit. And I know it is a weird thing.
I don't agree with you at all there.
No?
If you just don't. No. Because we just sort of talked about this performance. I don't think he needed to prove a damn thing. No. And cap hit, I was okay. Like, the Devils have cap space, right?
What was it? 3 million?
It's over 3.6.
I mean, and that goes off the books. So
because if you apply to retirement, and it's
because I don't see it on their cap friendly page. Like, it's just completely disappeared.
I was just wondering because he signed it before. How old is Crawford again?
36.
I was wondering if maybe something had to do with the other for over 35.
That's what I was thinking as well.
But I guess maybe there's some. Whatever.
I mean, I trust cap friendly, so
I think it's I don't know, not a pride thing, but it's just kind of like him wanting to prove to everyone he could still play. Because I know that things really soured with Stan Bowman. That I think, the negotiations were they were there. Though? I think to himself the last 3 years.
But would he not have proved that in the playoffs?
It's so short though, and
he's still the best player in the world.
Because I see it this way, you beat Edmonton.
Yeah.
But then,
which I don't think a lot of people were expecting.
But then, you go against Vegas, and it's okay, that's a real team.
And it's against Robin Leonard.
Yeah.
No, that is a good. Yeah, no. And Leonard was sort of the guy that it seemed kind of kicked. No, you make a good point there. Yeah, looking at it like that, and it's the guy who beats me is. It's still not great of him that it's kind of like when people gave Pavel Datsyuk crap a few years ago. That with a few years left on his deal with Detroit, he went to
kind of bolted when he saw the writing on the wall.
I feel like that one was a different situation because he went to Russia. Corey Crawford retired. You know what I mean? For me, I look at what's going on around us. Literally, we're back in Ontario's in lockdown. Quebec has a curfew. I don't know what the US is doing, right? So all these plays and there's just this pandemic going on in the middle of an NHL season. And I know there's arguments. I went on Twitter when Ontario announced Toronto and Ottawa can play, and the comments were not very happy, right? So I think there must be a worry for some players, and he's just one of the guys who said, you know what? I don't necessarily think it's worth it. That's why I give him the benefit of the doubt. So
he has a family.
What we remember is, he goes out on top. All right. I don't think any of us see Corey Crawford as dragging out his career. I think it's kind of like Lidstrom. There's gas in the tank, but it's not 100%. It's like Patrick Waugh. He's gone out on top, right? Which is all you want from a guy. Next. We have a retirement, but now we have a signing. Matthew Barzell, the Islanders have re-signed their RFA. Key player, probably their best player. 3-year deal worth $21 million. The cap hit is $7 million. And this is the really important part. His qualifying offer at the end of the deal will be $8.4 million, and he will be 1 year away from UFA status. They wanted long-term, did Barzell, but with the Islanders' current cap situation and the world at large, and the NHL's cap situation for the next years, it was not practical. But it never felt like this was really in doubt that it was going to get done, but it did. And listen, they still have team control afterwards. He makes a bit of money. It's very similar to like Braden Point, the Tkachuk deal. I think it's a very fair deal on both sides, Alex. I don't know if you agree.
No, I do. I mean, yeah, it's a fair deal for both sides. I don't see why it wouldn't be. I mean, he probably could have got a little bit more, but it's pretty fair deal. Like he's going to get paid in 3 years. Like this isn't much of a question, whether the system they play is good or bad or whatever. He's going to get paid whether Lou likes it or not, whether he's there or not.
Mm-hmm. Credit to both parties as well here, Daniel, because Barzell was actually around. I believe he's quarantined so he can step back on camp like that. So there was already goodwill. And Lou got it done before the start of the season, which the Islanders, if they had started off without Matt Barzell, probably would have been a disaster.
Yeah, and I really like the numbers. He's already proven that he can be a superstar in this league. And when I look at the comparables of these other offers that have been given to 3 years, like I think of David Pasternak or Nikita Kucherov, where, there was a bit of a lower AAV, but that was before they really broke out into the stars they are now. But I think Barzal's already proven it. And the fact that he kind of accommodated the Islanders he met them where they're at in terms of the cap situation, in terms of what they have on the roster. So I think it's a win for the Islanders. Like what you said about that whole qualifying offer at the end of this deal, like that's so smart. Like it's going to protect them against like potential offer sheets. I think there were a lot of tweets, I can't remember, it might be James Myrtle, where it's like this deal for Lou Lamoriello looks like this is someone else's problem to deal with at the end of this deal. And it's true, like that is a pretty big like qualifying offer, but it makes sense to keep that star in New York.
So apparently the qualifying offer is 8.4, but apparently they changed the way it works. So remember last year or a couple of years ago, it was the last year of what the salary was in your last year. That's what your salary was going to be if your qualifying offer. So now it's your average cap hit times, I think times 14%, 1.14. So after all these RFAs try to beat the system and say, hey, Matthews, Laine, Besser, all the guys from I think last year said we want more salary at the end so that we can bump up that qualifying offer. They got rid of that because the league is boring.
Right. Any other thoughts on Barzell, the deal, anything like that?
No, it's really good.
All right.
I thought the holdout was going to be a lot longer.
Sorry?
I thought it was going to be a lot longer, the holdout.
Well, I mean, Lou, man.
I know.
Well, again, I think a big part of it is Barzell.
His powers.
Is that and Barzell was, when Pasternak was holding out, the guy was still overseas. There's goodwill there. Okay, that goes a long way. Right? Barzell knows he's the guy there.
Oh, William Nylander.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, and okay. This is not going to be the easiest topic to talk about, but for those of you who don't know, Tony DeAngelo, defenseman for the New York Rangers, has once again gotten himself into some trouble. Now, I was thinking about this a lot over the last few days, including I was up very late last night thinking of how to really talk about this. And there's two sides of Tony DeAngelo. I see a defenseman who I think he's 0.54 points per game. 50 points plus last season. doesn't give the puck away as much as a guy like Jeff Petrie and outscored him last season, okay? There is all the skill in the world there. There is a talented hockey player. But he's not afraid to make his political views known, which, listen, if you want to openly support, I'm a liberal. There's nothing wrong with that. When you have a problem, though, obviously everyone knows that Donald Trump's Twitter account has been permanently suspended. Now, after this happened, Tony DeAngelo decided to, say basically he called Twitter a disgrace. He said, listen, you can follow my podcast or my Instagram account. That's where I'm going to be from now on. And then on his Instagram account, he said that if the site Parler was back up, you could find him on there. Now, what's the big issue here, besides the fact that he's backing up Trump and everything that's gone on with that, is, and for those of you who don't know what Parler is, from everything I understand, and this site got taken down by Apple, Amazon, Google, everything. First of all, if you look up Parler online, it's Parler Free Speech Social Network. And from all the readings I've been doing on CNN Business and that, it seems to very much be same with a CP24 article, so everyone's like, serious CNN. It is favored by conservatives, and there seems to be a connection with people out there to the people who were rioting on Capitol Hill earlier in the week. And apparently the site had about 98 examples of posts that, quote, clearly encourage and incite violence. And Tony DeAngelo was going about, I'm going on there. The thing of Trump being taken down is a joke. And the Rangers apparently have dealt with it internally. It's kind of like the Nikita Mazepin stuff for Haas, that there will be no public statement. It will be dealt with internally. But I cannot, and this is not the first time we've talked about this player. Eventually, it just goes from, he's a goofball. He's like, this guy needs to shut up, to this guy is turning into a natural problem. And I don't know if I am at a point anymore where I want to see this guy in the league. He's not going to go anywhere, obviously, because he's a good hockey player, and this league kind of values that more than. Again, this is the league that couldn't work out how to go with the Hockey Diversity Alliance. Let's be honest.
Yeah, most organizations are like that.
Yeah,
most sports organizations are like, unless their players do something about it.
I mean, where do we go now with Tony DeAngelo?
Just before that, this is no matter. So I just searched up Parler on Google just to see what would pop up, and under it's like parler.com, whatever. It says Parler's an unbiased social media focused on real use. Okay, just whenever someone writes. And this is from my experience, whether they're left, right, middle, left, up, I don't know. If their first thing is we are an unbiased social media place, no, you're not. No, you're not. It doesn't matter. This is my experience. It's very rare where they're actually unbiased. Just my opinion. But what to do with Tony DeAngelo is a great question. I don't know is the thing, because I'm perfectly fine with people expressing their things, right? That's not what the issue is. And I think there are issues with Twitter, whatever. There's issues, not besides the point. But I don't know what to do with Tony DeAngelo because he's not going to go away. This isn't. How many times this is the second or third time you've heard from the Rangers say we're going to deal with this internally, right? This isn't the first time it's happened. So it's there's a part of me that's I can't deal with this anymore because there's so much other garbage. There's other stuff I have to deal with that this guy is the last person I want to even think of when I wake up in the morning. But I know I need to because the game needs to grow. How many times have we had this discussion? So, too many.
Countless times.
Right? So many times where it's kind of redundant because we're just saying the same thing. The game needs to grow. There's a reason we're 4 out of 4. For once in their lives, the NHL could say, hey, why don't we be first in something? Like, what have they been first in ever?
There needs to be some actual consequence for this. And again, I haven't seen anything saying that, there's some sort of suspension for the guy. Or just anything from the Rangers' point of view. He's just such a meathead. There are so many words that I cannot use on this podcast that could be used to title Tony DeAngelo. But Daniel, your take. I mean, there's so many people, like the Rangers aren't doing anything. The league are not going to do anything. I see the same thing towards Alex. What do you do with him?
I think there's 2 points to that where I think when I look back on it, where it's in a weird way, I didn't think I'd be talking about Tony DeAngelo this much. I remember watching the 2016 draft, and DeAngelo went 19th to the Lightning 2014. And I remember during that draft, Steve Yzerman just traded him like straight up for a 2nd round pick that became Libor Hayek. And I remember thinking like, they just drafted this guy, like what was going on? And then I remember going through so many articles, so many tweets, and then just this alleged thing about his attitudes, about a player that, you don't want to really build around, especially when I think we look at the core now, what the Lightning has been able to do with those guys that have been brought up. And I thought it ended there, where it kind of, okay, this guy probably has an attitude problem, and how hockey is about the one identity thing, you just want to push him out, and cut the costs and get what you can for him, because this guy was a recent 1st round pick. And the things that have escalated with this is that I know that a lot of people have said, look at his views, look at what he's been able to say the past few times, and people kind of dismissed it to say like, oh, well, and the one thing that really bothered me were people like, it's a breath of fresh air when you see someone in the NHL actually say something out of the team identity. But when it gets to that negative side of things, just now what Alex said, like, this is the time, the Rangers, you got to do something about it. You got to curb this, because this is something that it's going to just kind of keep going. And I don't want it to get into that position where where you're going to be like, well, outside of the game, they're open to their own views, but not when it incites this type of negativity, incites, insurrection or violence.
Sorry. No, go ahead.
I was just going to speak on something that Adam said about the league and the team not doing anything. I don't know if you've noticed, and it could be just me, and I don't necessarily agree with how it's done, but this is just the reality, is that the league, especially the NHL, because of the culture of the game, where it's very closed and it's team oriented, we're not going to do something unless you physically twist our arm to do it.
That's very true.
That's why no one's doing anything about it.
It reminds me of the boycotts of the games, where even now other leagues are criticizing the NHL for being the last one to do that.
Yeah, and I mean, like both conferences didn't even do the same thing. Remember, the West had everyone at the pressers, and then the East just had captains. And then Dino was all about, I don't watch the news. What are you doing? And it is a difference between talking about the breath of fresh air thing, Daniel. There's a difference between Trevor Zegras saying we're gonna beat this goalie tonight, and giving off the impression that you support an app that when he basically said he wanted to be on an app and that he would, give his views there with the connections it's had to real life violence. Again, the moment that you attach yourself to Parler that has just gotten in trouble for inciting violence, you've lost any sort of ground to stand on. Tony DeAngelo does.
Before we move on, one more point is the way I kind of see this is, and I know that it's different situations, but I think about Brendan Lepsic, where, something like that happens where, like, admittedly, like, based on their careers, he is a depth guy that's, a fringe NHLer, but he's someone that you could kind of bury in a way that you could just release him, or he placed on waivers. And what about like Tony DeAngelo, where he is a guy that has become a contributor to the Rangers? Like, do you just walk away from that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a thing of, do you do what is best for the team, or do you do what's morally right there? And
best for the team.
I guess like from the business side of things, for like the Rangers,
just
like,
how it's gonna end.
Having that,
I don't agree with it. It's just how it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily think that's the best way to handle it. But
there's Leipzig, who, as you say, fringe NHLer, and then there's DeAngelo, legitimate top 4 defenseman, who people were talking about maybe getting Norris Trophy votes. Anyway, though, let's move on to some happier news. The Bruins have a new captain. Did you guys see the video of how they told Bergeron?
I didn't. I saw the clip. I didn't see I didn't watch the entire thing though.
So if you guys listening who haven't seen it, so the Bruins are, they're there. I believe Don Sweeney's there. They're in the locker room, and it's like, all right, time to name a new captain. Come on up, Brad Marchand. And you can hear laughter. And they cut to Bergeron. And there's a mix of like, maybe there's like a shield of a little smile, but then there's also this look in his eye that's like, you're kidding me, right? And like, as soon as Marchand gets up there, he's like, yeah, no, I'm not the captain. Let's get the real guy up here. And everyone starts laughing. They call him up. Patrice Bergeron, the best two-way player of all time, I said it, is the new captain of the Boston Bruins. And there is no one more deserving of the C in any team in this league, because Patrice Bergeron is perfect in every single way. I love him. As a Habs fan, I love him. Totally deserved.
Congrats to him. I think it's a long time waiting, and if I'm going to be this person that, I guess every episode does this, I remember looking back when they traded Joe Thornton to San Jose, and they're like, because we want to build that center position and that leadership model off of this new guy, Patrice Bergeron, who's really coming up. So for me, it's kind of like finally, in a way, because I know Chara was a great captain for the Bruins, but it was just kind of thing where it's just like, when is this guy going to get his chance? And then to be honest, I didn't think Chara was going to hold on this long. I thought it was going to be like a Rod Brendamore kind of thing, where he got the C when they won the cup for the Hurricanes, and then right after that, he's still playing, but he gave the C to Eric Stahl, knowing that he'd be the future of the team. So I really kind of expected a situation like that to happen, but not even then. Like, I don't think it kind of diminishes anything. I think the perfect guy to lead the team, especially in like what it might be a tumultuous stretch for them.
Oh yeah.
Alex.
I mean, you guys said most of it. Like, I think he definitely deserves it. Being behind Chara for so many years, but we all knew like he was as much of a captain as Chara was, especially the last few years. I don't really think there was anyone else on that team who really deserved it more than him, even as a Leafs fan.
Alex, before we move on, I just want to say something. You say as a Leafs fan.
Here we go.
Are you saying that the past few years, it's not a bad thing to have too much leadership on a team?
I knew this is going to come.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Even if they're older.
Okay.
Just getting some stuff up here. Okay, before we go on to our mini season preview here, we're going to predict who's going to make the playoffs, who's going to win some awards, who's going to win the cup itself. There was a scrimmage last night, the Leafs game that was televised. The Montreal Canadiens have theirs tonight on RDS2. Daniel, I don't know what's quite been going on with the Ducks, but I'm assuming you're plugged in. Do you guys have any sort of word on the teams we love before we move on to the season?
Is it okay if I go first, because mine is really not that not as important as the Leafs or the Habs, what's going on with them.
Important on this show.
I'm just kind of annoyed
cool.
that
Okay.
Christian Drews got picked up off waivers by the Detroit Red Wings. That is like, I love Bob Murray, but that is really bad asset management, because they traded Daniel Sprong to get him. And they traded Marcus Pettersson to get Daniel Sprong. And I don't understand what's going on. Everyone's like, oh, look at the positive of this. Jamie Drysdale's probably going to make the team now. But it's like, no, I wanted him to play one more year of junior. Like, you're not rushing. Don't rush him.
Daniel, I'm sorry to hear. I remember seeing that move. I'm like, oh, okay, it sucks for Anaheim. But it didn't hit me that you'd be this upset.
I think it just, in a way, just is that asset management. I know that they have a lot of guys coming up, but like what we've said before, where the Ducks are, Jamie Drysdale is not going to play well because looking at that depth chart, he's not going to get anything playing on the third pairing. Not being like, he's used to being that guy on the power play unit. Like, he's not going to get that if you have Cam Fowler, Kevin Shattenkirk, like Hampus Lindholm already at the point.
You could, I was going to say maybe you ease him in on the protected, top six row and then give him some power play time. I mean,
the thing is, I think of Mikhail Sergachev, but the thing is, the Ducks are not as good defensively as the Lightning to kind of shelter him in that same way.
Man, listen.
This is all hypothetical, but the silly thing is, like, looking back on it, it's like, I love Marcus Pettersson. It's just, man, that trade, like, to get Daniel Sprong, like, that was not good.
With his age, is he eligible? Like, does he have to go once the CHL is back? Does he have to go back to Erie?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe in their eyes they see him as ready.
He could still technically come back for Third World Juniors.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, he'll want revenge after what happened in the gold medal game. But I mean, hey, well, maybe he can pleasantly surprise you, Daniel.
Maybe it's just. Yeah, I mean, like Drysdale thing, that's the positive. It's just, again, asset management, not the best look.
It's all about asset management.
Like, after that tournament, be happy you got Drysdale. I wouldn't lose your knocker over Christian Juice. That's just me, though.
For sure. It's just that one thing. Just, one of the times Jim Rutherford won a trade.
That's a first.
Why are we so mean to Pittsburgh?
We love Pittsburgh. It's just kind of like
you've got the Penguins jersey on.
I do. I think if we're talking about Pittsburgh for a minute, I think the one thing I just kind of feel with it, just you have Malkin and Crosby, you have Chris Letang, like.
All right, stop there. I need to make this point for my season predictions.
Okay.
Please. Please no. Alex.
No, do you know what Daniel's really good at doing? Giving the both of us nightmares. He always brings up Tuukka Rask, Justin Pogge, Andrew Raycroft, and then he'll like throw in like Mikhail Sergachev in there too. Like that's what he's just good at. I don't think he does it on purpose, but like he's just secretly good at that. With the Leafs, if I'm being honest, I didn't watch the scrimmage last night. Why? Because it's a meaningless scrimmage game.
Yes.
It's more. It's okay. Oh, damn it, Daniel. It's like there's the regular season games. There's like preseason games, and then there's scrimmage games. See how my hand's not even in the camera.
For those of you watching on the audio version, it started at the top of the screen, then the lower part, and when Alex got to scrimmage, it went off screen completely.
It's great to watch. Like it's like great. I haven't watched the Leafs play since like what? So I don't even remember. July, maybe the beginning of August, if I can remember the dates properly.
What are dates? What is time?
I don't know. It doesn't even feel like Sunday. It's Sunday? Great. It's great to watch them, but it's like, what am I supposed to take out of this game? Like I watched the highlights, but I'm not going to make my predictions based on watching one scrimmage game. It's like watching the preseason saying, well, Colorado's going to win just because of that one preseason game they played. It's ridiculous to me.
I think one thing I kind of take from that, it's just the one question I have for you is, are you comfortable that Pierre Engvall is playing the third line center?
I not really, and I don't think Sheldon Keefe was either. I just saw a tweet of a quote saying that Pierre needs to be better. You know what he has to do?
Like Christian Horner.
He has to push
Pierre.
But yeah, no, I'm not necessarily the most comfortable. I'd rather have Alex Kerfoot playing third line center.
Yeah, I thought that was the plan.
He was day to day.
Yeah.
Bumps and bruises.
That's fine. Oh, bumps and bruises. Marco Rossi, eh? That's a tough one. Out indefinitely. Upper body. It's probably his back after carrying the Austrians.
Oh, no.
Poor guy. I guess for Montreal, yeah, if you have RDS2, go watch the scrimmage game. It's basically the Canadians versus Jake Allen tonight. It's going to be amazing. Can't wait to watch it. He's probably not going to get claimed, but regardless, I want to put the good vibes in the air that Noah Juleson does not get claimed today. Because I just want him to just go to Laval, play some games, same with Caden Primo, and he's okay. Jordan Wheel was also put on waivers, so if he goes to the AHL or more likely the taxi squad, the Canadians will be about 40,000 according to Cap Friendly over the cap, and every teams need to be compliant by the 12th, right? So if you want Adam's prediction, it's not going to be Corey Perry, it's not going to be Bob Byron. Mikhail Frolik will probably be that taxi squad guy going on. It sounds like the Canadians are very much doing a 21-man roster at the moment. And it's 22 at the very second, and Frolik's just that obvious guy because they're liking Perry a lot, and Claude Julien loves
just
Paul.
like us.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Frolik, what a guy. Yeah.
Does that include their third goalie, I guess?
I don't even know what's going on with that.
Because they have to have...
It's Michael McNiven, right?
Because they have to have 3 goalies. Oh, okay. They have to have 3 goalies. The third one can either be on the taxi squad or the roster. Never mind me.
So Lindgren is getting waived today.
Yeah.
But I don't know if when they're like, is it going to be that last, like the 12th, they're going to announce the official taxi squads? Because, yeah, like McNiven is still a possibility.
Knowing the NHL, probably.
But, I mean, Lindgren, I don't know how much faith they still have in the guy. I would
seem like a lot.
Goalie. I mean, he's not going to play in the AHL. If he is, he'd probably go to Rocket camp and he's fighting Demchenko for the backup job because it's Primo's net.
Mm-hmm.
We said it before. Charlie Lindgren is Mike Condon 2.0.
I mean, he's really Dustin Tokarski 3.0.
But did he win at the World Juniors?
I mean, I don't think he did. I don't think he did. But it doesn't scream out. The Americans have had some good goalies in the past couple of years. So, like Spencer Knight. Too bad the Russians didn't. Yeah, he went there.
What? You can't say that about the Leafs prospect to Alex like that.
No, you're not talking about Artur Akhtyamov. Okay?
Thank you. I never say his name properly.
He's talking about Yaroslav Askarov.
He's quickly cleaning out everything for the show notes I have on my phone. All right. It's time for the 2-on-1 podcast official season preview of previewing the season.
We should have a song to introduce that.
So we will start with the playoffs, guys, and we'll start with the very, 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 very easy to look at West Division. I don't remember who they're sponsored by, but
I'll find out.
I don't have to stay by that. So, starting with Daniel, let's see if he sticks with this. Who's making the playoffs in the West for you?
Hold on, I have a lot of honorable mentions. Go to Alex first.
It's the Honda West Division.
Okay.
The West Division brought to you by Honda. Buy a car.
So, where 4 teams can make the playoffs, you have honorable mentions. Like, what do you mean? Like, there's what? You can't have honorable mentions for this. That's not how it works.
Because, okay, the way I see this division, and, I'm always optimistic for a lot of things, but, there's a lot of what ifs in that division. I'm not going to lie, like, looking at them,
it's a lock. What do you mean?
It was pretty hard to be like, okay, who's going to get upset? Because we talked about it before, with me, how Alex saw the my fantasy lineup for my teams. I always go off the board. I always go like, we cannot look at the past to determine the future.
Okay.
Can I present the Honda division?
Well,
yes.
Yeah, because Daniel won't do it. Go ahead.
Okay. The 2021 West Division brought to you by Honda. The power of dreams. Oh, do you want me to do it? Sorry. I didn't know I was going. I just wanted to introduce it, if you don't mind. Okay. First, I have Colorado, obviously. Like, I don't think it really needs to be explained why, because they are just very good. They added Devin Taves. They added Brandon Saad. Like, yes, they didn't address their goalie issue, but I think that might become more of an issue when they make when they're in the playoffs compared to who they're playing, who's in their division.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, I have the Vegas Golden Knights.
Good.
You lose Nate Schmidt, you lose Paul Stastny, but you bring in Alex Pietrangelo. Oh, he's a pretty good player, I hear. You keep Robin Leonard, you keep Marc-Andre Fleury too, so you have a pretty good goalie tandem there. But I'm worried about their center depth, kind of. But I think that again, these issues I think are going to be issues in the playoffs rather than during the regular season.
Okay.
Number 3, or do you want me to keep going? Or did you want to?
Okay. Give them all.
Number 3, the St. Louis Blues. Despite what Daniel said last week, Jordan Binnington maybe is not superstar Calder winning level, but
you went there.
But I think he's good enough. Like, obviously, I'm a little bit worried about their backup goalie situation.
Yeah.
Yes, Mike Hoffman isn't Vladimir Tarasenko, but I still think the team around them, they added Torrey Krug. Like, I know he's not Alex Pietrangelo, but he's still Torrey Krug.
Indeed.
Number 4, I had a tough one because it's like I was going to swing my way towards the Coyotes, but I didn't because I think the Coyotes are in way too much turmoil to be a decent team next year.
Mm-hmm.
And I went with the San Jose Sharks.
The bounce back year.
Yeah. I think, we talked about Erik Karlsson. Erik Karlsson hasn't played in almost a year. That guy it's been that long. And usually that might be a bad thing. But I think the fact that we kind of had an idea he wasn't really 100% healthy, plus Brett Burns. And, I know their depth isn't huge, but I think it's going to be a bounce back year. I think Devin Dubnyk might have a bounce back year too. We'll see what happens.
Okay, Daniel. All
right.
Who are you going with here?
Thank you again, Honda, for still making manual transmission cars. They're all great.
Not brought you by any of these division names, by the way.
Yes. Okay, so obvious, Colorado. We're all fans of them on the show. We know what they have. They've gotten better, and I'm excited to see Bowen Byram.
Yep.
Number 2, and this is a tough one, but I'm going to go with Vegas, even though I've criticized their depth outside of being, they're a very top-heavy team that, the Nate Schmidt thing, like Alex said, it's going to kind of hurt them, I think, because he was a guy that's been there for so long. That chemistry factor is kind of wonky there. I think like Pietrangelo, great player. How is he going to fit with them right away? I'm not sure, but I like what their group is looking like. In terms of goaltending, again, a lot of money, but I still love Fleury. I still like Robin Leonard, so I think there's a lot going on there. So number 3 is I'm going to go with Anaheim. And I've said it before. I know that it's a bit of a risky thing to say, but I think that what they've been able to do with their prospects, what they've been able to do with the guys that have stayed, that they could do something. They have John Gibson, who's going to be healthy. They brought back Ryan Miller. They have Lucas Dostal or Anthony Stolarz being that third goalie. And, Dostal's projected in reality and in the NHL games to be a starter. So we'll see how that goes. And number 4, and, this is a tough one, but I'm going to flip what I said about the Minnesota Wild. And I think I'm going to go with the San Jose Sharks. So the St. Louis Blues do not make the playoffs, in my opinion.
Okay.
I think the Sharks are going to have a bounce back year. They have certain pieces that could potentially break out for them. I like Dylan Gambrell. I like Ryan Donato. I like Kevin LeBanc. I think it's enough for them to get there, but not be a contender. And again, I still like Erik Karlsson, Marc-Edouard Vlasic, and Brent Burns. I think that these are 2 great guys that haven't really shown that same, I guess, in the last year or 2. But I think that the time away gave them a better perspective. Because I look back, and I know this is a few years ago, but I look back when they didn't make the playoffs after the 2015 season, where they had a weird shuffle of like the captaincy of the depth players, and then they go on to have a surprising cup run. It's probably not going to be that same extent, but I think just that revitalization of the leadership of, okay, this is what we got, this is what we can do, and then all the injuries, especially to Erik Carlson, are going to be there. And I'm not doubting Devin Dubnyk, because he is the perfect narrative for this team as well. A guy who was injured, played a lot, and needs a new environment.
Okay. All right. You're saying St. Louis is missing over Minnesota. Okay. All right. I know you went back on Minnesota and you went on San Jose. Okay. Right. I obviously went with Colorado. I have been a fan of this group since before it was cool, especially McKinnon. Everyone's like, oh, he'll outscore McDavid this year. I've been on
since it was Quebec
on this wagon for years now. Yeah. All right. And I'm proud of it. I feel like I started the movement for Colorado. Not Sakic, but it was.
He told Joe Sakic to draft Nathan McKinnon, not Seth Jones.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously. Okay. Number 2, I also have Vegas. I mean, I have a feeling about Cody Glass taking that next step. He'll get the opportunity with Stastny gone. I could care less about Nate Schmidt, because Theodore and Petrich, I know chemistry, but like, what chemistry is there going to be when an Olympian is just going to come in, still in his prime, still one of the best defensemen in the league, and Theodore is going to be his other partner? Or hell, you split them up and you got to deal with that. I mean, I have zero doubt with there. Leonard's amazing, the true number 1 starter of that team. You can't ask for much better goalies than that. I see you're right, Daniel. And Mark Stone is underratedly a monster. So it's so simple to put these 2 teams. Number 3, St. Louis. I think the gap between Colorado, Vegas, and St. Louis will be bigger because of their goaltending and how much of a known it is past Binnington / what even will Binnington look like, especially on the blocker side we keep talking about. And their defense, I mean, yeah, it doesn't have Pietrangelo. It's still Parayko and Krug. It's still Justin Falk, Scandella. It's still it's still Vince Dunn. Who's the 6th guy, Perchuzzo? That's still a much better defense than most teams have. And again, Hoffman is still going to pot 30, 40 goals. Like, you stick him with O'Reilly. O'Reilly's going to do all the work. You still have Shed. Mm-hmm. There's just so much to still like about St. Louis. And offensively, I think they're going to be a step up because of what Torrey Krug can bring to that power play. And when Tarasenko was back for a playoff run, oh boy, I think you keep your eye on St. Louis. But for the regular season, I definitely think they'll be 3rd, but there will be a gap from the other 2 teams. 4th, I said this last episode, so I'm going to stick by it. San Jose. You guys know I may be the biggest Erik Carlson fan in the world. Yeah. More than his wife, honestly. I love
Not Alex?
No, not what?
Not Alex from his Ottawa years?
No. Okay. I mean, Mike? Is this where we're going? Why are you saying what?
Oh, because Alex is a Leafs fan. Okay, just keep going.
Where do you go? Okay, anyway, yeah, you guys know, and yeah, I've been someone who's really hoping that Carlson looks back. I'm not going to lie. When I made this prediction, I kind of forgot Jones and Dubnyk were their tandem, and I kind of want to change this prediction, but I'm going to stand by what I said last episode. Maybe to my detriment, but at the same time, Gambrell, Donato, additions that we don't talk about. Everyone forgets how good Thomas Hertl is, and Logan Couture may have, gone and been punched in the bar for saying stuff we don't know exactly. He's still a damn good player that if he got 30 goals, I wouldn't be surprised. But honestly, after, in my opinion, Colorado, Vegas, St. Louis, anyone could get that 4th spot, and I wouldn't be surprised. But I have to stick with my guns and say San Jose. Okay, next we'll go to the Central Division.
Wait.
And I mean, guys, Tampa's gonna win it, right? Can we just blanket statement Tampa's winning, and then we all just go on our other 3, please?
Can I introduce the Central Division?
Sorry?
Don't you mean this? Yeah, okay.
Can I introduce the Central Division?
Yeah, go ahead.
The 2021 NHL Central Division, brought to you by Discover. We treat you like you treat you.
The Discover Division champions will be the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Alex, you're presenting it. Why don't you give us your...
I have all the slogans. I hope you know I'm introducing every division.
Yeah, man. Why not? We'll do the East after this. So
Okay. Yeah, number one, I have Tampa Bay, like obvious reasons. I don't really think losing Zach Bogosian was that big of a deal. But
don't say that, Alex.
And Shattenkirk.
And Kevin Shattenkirk.
I'd Carter Verhaeghe.
Okay. But you get the point. Like, I don't think they're that. It's not like they've been depleted. Like, they're missing Nikita Kucherov, and they're still going to finish first.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't think it's that big of a deal. They signed Anthony Cirelli. They signed Sergachev, and Eric Cernak. I think they'll be fine. Number two, I went with the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yep.
I think, despite their goaltending, I think their goaltending is set up in a way that's kind of perfect for a short season because they're used to splitting the games. It's not like they have an outright number one. I hope they bounce back. Like, they have really good seasons again. They still have those young guys that are getting better. Like, I mean, Teravainen's in his prime. Aho and Svechnikov are still young and getting better. So I think they're really set up well to succeed. Plus their defense. Like, okay, you lost Sammy Vatanen. Big deal.
Did he ever play a game for them?
No. So I think they're fine. Like, I really think they'll be fine.
Yeah.
Number three, I have the Dallas Stars.
Mm-hmm.
I think, they're going to miss a couple of their guys to start the season, but I still think they have a strong enough team, especially with Bishop and Hudobin. Is Bishop injured? I don't think so. That might have been in my GM mode, and now I'm getting those two things confused. And
I don't know what is reality and what is NHL 21.
Bishop is injured, and you're probably right. You flip a coin, honestly, with him.
Well, either way, like, I think even with Hudobin, if the playoffs really, or even the last couple seasons have meant anything, he's a good backup, but can also come in to play a little bit of starter if he needs to. And once they get their full team back together, like once Sagan is back, I really think it's going to be a really good team. And really, they could finish second. The only reason I'm not putting them second is because they're missing guys to start the season.
Uh-huh.
Number four, this might be an odd pick, but I'm going to pick them anyways. The Florida Panthers.
Okay.
It is Sergei Bobrovsky's on year, technically. Plus, I think they made some decent additions. If I can find where I wrote them down, but the ones that come off of top of my head, Marcus Nudivara.
Mm-hmm.
Who did they add? They added Alex Wenberg, who's not the greatest, but I still think it's a decent signing.
Yep.
Like,
it was just
his
me.
cap hit that was the issue.
Mm-hmm.
Trading Mike Matheson for Patrick Hornquist.
Yep.
Like, wonderful. Like, I think Patrick Hornquist can be really useful. Anthony Duclair. Like, these are all guys that make the team better. Plus, they drafted Spencer Knight. So
yeah, good player.
He's not playing yet.
Not yet, but still good player.
And who is your fourth team?
That was my fourth team.
Panthers. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, Daniel. I will go next.
All right.
There's a reason why, because I want to start with the East Division, so I'm doing the loop here.
Okay.
So.
Wait, this is the East or the Central? What did you say?
The Central.
No, the Central, but I'm trying to rotate it, and I really want to start with the East. So when I go around, so that's where I'm going now. So then Daniel will go there. It's a whole thing. Don't worry. It's clockwork. Don't worry about it. It's
just the process.
Yeah. Central. Tampa are winning it. Carolina are just such a good regular season team. Continue to disappoint in the playoffs, though. They have the talent and scoring touch, second to Tampa in this division. Dallas have one of the best tandems in the league. When Ben Bishop is healthy, he is amazing. I'm a big fan of Bishop, honestly. Plus, Gurionov is set to have a breakout year this year. Signs point to it as long as Bonus bothers to give him some quality power play time. And who knows, maybe this is the year that Tyler Seguin puts a consistent, when he's healthy, can finally put together a string of consistency. and get past his bad luck. I don't know. But I mean, I don't love Dallas. I never really have loved the makeup of their team. And you would hope that Radulov goes back to normal instead of continuing to sort of dip down like he looks like he is. And for fourth, I actually have Nashville. I like their team. I don't love Nashville. Kind of like Dallas. I never have. But I think there is still potential there. And with their roster, I really, really like Granlund. I really like Victor Arvidsson. You still have Yossi, who did not deserve the Norris Trophy, but won it. There is still a lot there. And I mean, if we're talking about Bobrovsky having a good year, Pecorine is set to have one as well, based on the flip. Or Jussi Saros could look good. Maybe Ila Tolvanen finally proves himself. And I don't hate the fact that they brought in Eric Haula as well. And you know what? There's a feeling I have that Johansson's going to turn everything around. I don't know why, but I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for him. And again, their defense speaks for itself. Fabro's another year older. There isn't much to say about this division for me. Like, again, the fourth slot is quite open, but I mean, looking at the rest of the Central Division, like Columbus, I think they lost. We don't know what they are right now. They lost a few kind of key pieces, but are Detroit going to make it? I don't know. Daniel, you tell me. Do you have Detroit make it? Who are you for a team?
Okay. So I'm just going to go through the obvious already because you guys said great things about them already. So we already know Carolina, Tampa Bay, both making it. Obvious reasons for Tampa. Carolina, I love the team. They're going to probably live and die by their goaltending because everything else looks spot on.
As long as they don't play Boston, then James Ryan will be fine.
Yeah. I saw that one coming. I don't think Boston has to worry about that this year. My third team has to be Columbus. I still am a big fan of the Blue Jackets. Yes, of their playing style. It's just the way they've been able to kind of, a throwback to the trap systems of Jacques Lemaire on the New Jersey Devils, of clogging up that neutral zone, of the players that they bank on to break out. I think that the system they have is just too good, and I love their goaltending. I love Elvis Merzlikins. I love Jonas Korpisalo. I think that could be arguably one of the most consistent, if not the best tandems in the league next year or this season.
You know what else works in Columbus's favor? Tortorella's got new content, new video to show them after the checks. He's like, it's this easy, guys. Come on.
And fourth, I actually have the Florida Panthers.
You don't have Dallas making it?
I don't have Dallas making it because two things. A lot of injuries, inconsistencies with things, and I don't expect... Okay, the way I saw it is I know that they have the young guys coming up, but I think that they need another year or so to really kind of refine things for that consistency, like Guryanov or Julius Honka, Radek Vaska if he comes back, Thomas Harley if he makes the team, Riley Tuft if he finally out of his NCAA success kind of brings it now. I just don't believe in Jimmy Benn or Tyler Seguin. With Florida, this is going to be precursor to a lot of things, but I think they have 2 or 3 really good players. But I think for later on, what we're going to talk about awards, 2 really good players, and I won't say their names now, but 2 really good players that will help lead the team. I think that what they really addressed with things was, the depth. I think that they have certain guys there that will kind of help, because I think the biggest problem they had with them was they were way too top heavy. They had the elite players at the top, and they just didn't have anything to show for it. I like the Anthony Duclair signing, but at the same time, I like that they have Frank Vetrano. I like Brett Conley. I like Noel Achari. I like what they have at that bottom 6 that will really kind of help them, get to the nitty gritty of things, because what we saw last year was too much of that top line, too much of that top pairing.
Man, Miro Heiskanen is going to win the Norris Trophy now because you've disrespected the guy. John Klingberg is going to be right there too. Mm-hmm. Wow. By the way, save these prediction guys so we can see how we did. Yeah. All right, Alex, would you like to do the honors and present the next division, please?
2021 NHL East Division Brought to you by Mass Mutual. We'll help you get there.
All right. I think this is a division that I think definitely could have the most sort of. I think we might disagree the most in this.
This is my most hot take division.
Okay, same here actually. Washington. Well, this isn't. Washington's gonna win the division in my opinion. Them or Philly. Kinda hot. Provorov is yucky good. No one talks about how good Provorov is. He's so good. But yeah, I've got that soft spot for Carter Hart. And again, Washington. And Samsonov, I don't think Craig Anderson's the worst. I know he's getting older, but boy, he has that ability to just come in and just ruin days for the other team. Craig Anderson, man. And again, Alex Ovechkin's a pretty good player. Don't know if you've heard, but
really?
Yeah. And then Philly are Philly, I know people say they're on the up and up. I think in some aspects they are. I mean, Voracek and Giroux aren't getting any younger, but I mean, Konechny's young. Obviously the defense is pretty solid. Third, I have Pittsburgh. As much as we have laughed at Pittsburgh this offseason, they still have Letang, they still have Jari, they still have Pedersen. They still have a forward group that holds Crosby, Malkin, Gensel, remember him, he's healthy, and Jason Zucker. And Sidney Crosby, we do not, I know I just mentioned him. It's Sidney Crosby. I know everyone's been like, McDavid, Draisaitl, McKinnon. Let's not forget that Sidney Crosby still if there's an international team today, no disrespect to McDavid, but there is not a player I trust more to lead a team than Sidney Crosby.
Yeah.
And fourth, this goes to last episode, what I said. The Bruins are going to miss. I saw a points projection today, and it had the Bruins doing really, really well. But I'm going to do the hot take here. I mean, Marchand will get traded because they realize they don't need him because they have Craig Smith. Pasternak too. It's going to be great, but they're going to miss the playoffs. And here's the hot take. I don't want to be boring here, so I'm going to gamble on Buffalo making it. Or I should say that I am betting on Michael and Hull along with a breakout year from Rasmus Dahlin.
Not from longtime captain Eric Stahl.
No. I mean, Stahl's not bad. He's not bad. But, I mean, that team lives or die by Jack Eichel. And Taylor Hall is trying to secure a small fortune this season. So, and you know what? I have faith in Buffalo. I had faith in them last year, and they blew it on me. But I think they're going to do it. I really do. The Buffalo Sabres, ladies and gentlemen.
Adam.
Yeah.
If I told you that we have these same four teams, the only difference is Philadelphia's first and Washington is second, would you believe me? I'm dead serious. I think this is the most we've ever agreed on this show. Like the Central, I think we had the same. The East, we pretty much had the same. The West, we had the same.
I think we've disagreed so far on Columbus and Florida, and that's it.
Did you put Columbus fourth?
I put Daniel, you had Columbus. No,
I had Columbus. Yeah.
Nashville. Disagree on
Nashville.
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
Well, I mean, since you have it, I mean, sorry to make you go last again, Daniel. You can open with the North Division, but okay, then Alex, give me the reason why we agree.
Well, I mean, okay, so Pittsburgh, like from the top, Philadelphia, I think they have pieces that are getting better, like Provorov, Carter Hart, Oscar Lindbaum, etc., that fit really well with that team. Plus, you bring in, I know they didn't make many moves this offseason. The one they did make was bringing in Eric Gustafson. And I think that's I know he's not, who retired? Why can't I remember his name? Matt Niskanen. I know he's not Matt Niskanen per se.
Won't be breaking any jaws,
but I still think he's a good addition to that team. Locking up Philip Myers was a good one. Like, yes, the JVR contract isn't great, but he's a semi-decent player. Like, he's not bad by any means. But this team is really gelling together, and I think that's why they're going to take one step forward especially over Washington. Whereas Washington, I think you lose Braden Holtby, who I get hasn't been the greatest the last couple of years, but he was still somewhat of a leader in that locker room. I think there might be a little bit of shakeup, especially with what was rumored in the summer, whether it was true or not. I don't know, but I just think that Philadelphia there's just that extra something in Philadelphia that I think might be missing in Washington this year. Pittsburgh, you had to trade Matt Murray. I think Tristan Jarry's going to be good next year. Again, don't count out Sidney Crosby. You bring in a couple new guys. Plus, we forgot Jason Zucker was more of a deadline move. So he didn't have that full season to kind of intertwine with the team. And I think the bubble plus this next season is going to be really good for him. So I think we'll see a different Jason Zucker plus Crosby and Malkin. Buffalo, I do not like their goaltending at all. Like, I'm really trusting Linus Ullmark here a lot. But again, like you said, we had this discussion. Their top six is quite interesting. It's absolutely bizarre to me why Jeff Skinner's playing on the fourth line in recent practices. I hope that's not going to be the case. But
great use of the money.
Yeah, like you're paying him $9 million. Did we forget about this?
I think they wish they could.
Like, whatever. But yeah. I think their top six is really good. I really think if they give Dylan Cousins a shot, he really impressed a lot of people at the World Juniors, and I think he can make an impact on that team, whether it's the bottom or the top six. Rasmus Dahlin is still really good. Like, their defense is okay, but I think a lot of bets are going to be hedged on that forward core, and I think it's going to be a successful season.
Good. Daniel, let's see where you go here.
All right. A few hot takes here. Well, we have the same three teams, just everything was kind of like all jumbled up.
Yeah.
So I actually believe Pittsburgh takes the division. I know people are going to say that, oh, look at their core. It's like, on the other side of 30. But, okay, this is how I see it. So you have Crosby, you have Malkin, you have Letang. And it's not like they just stop there. They have John Marino, they have Jake Gensel, they have Brian Russ, they have Jason Zucker. They have all these things going for them that I think that they've been able to kind of refuel and retool here and there, despite the fact, like, okay, look at everything that's great about them except the bottom pairing of their defense, and you're fine. I think Casey DeSmith has shown already, like, this is a guy that I kind of feel like, if I'm going to make this the point of it, Casey DeSmith, where he's already been an NHL goalie, and then they kind of just put him in the AHL for like a year and a half.
Yeah, there were trade things with him for a while too.
Yeah, and he's proven that he can play. He's proven that he could kind of take some starts away. But I think Tristan Jarry is going to be the better goalie. Maybe I'm just being a bit optimistic, but I think he's going to be better than what Matt Murray's kind of shown since the first cup run. Because the second cup run he was kind of injured and all that, and it was actually Fleury that had still a lot of games, but. Again, I think second is going to be Philly. I really like their team. I don't think they're going to have the same kind of run they had last season where Alan Vion really kind of changed the culture of the team mid-season. I'm probably the number one fan on this show of Sean Couturier. I think he is going to lead that team. I think he should be the captain, by the way. But they have a lot going on. Like, even when we look at that core, you look past it, you have German Rubtsov, you have a lot of these guys, Joel Farabee, who could make impacts. They've already made impacts on this team. That Philly's the same type of team too. Like, they don't have another, they don't have a Malkin or a Crosby, but they have guys who are coming up that could retool them. I don't think the Matt Niskanen one's going to hurt them as much, but I like what they have. Again, Carter Hart, he will probably be a top 3 goalie for me this year. Third, Washington, just consistency, what they have already, never count out Ovechkin. I sound very unenthusiastic to talk about them, but I think there's not really much to say other than that. They have what they have, and I just hope they bounce back from what they showed in the bubble.
It's really Washington that has been the same team for about a decade.
Yeah. Fourth, I'm gonna go with the New Jersey Devils.
Oh boy, I hope Mike's not listening.
I like what they have. I don't think that they're in, that huge rut that I think we thought they were. I think that what they tried to do last year reminded me of old New York Rangers teams where they kind of just bought their way into trying to get a playoff spot. Like I think of Chris Drury or like Scott Gomez. But the way I look at this team is that I think they're more focused now. They were able to kind of get out of some of the bad contracts. They were able to kind of see, okay, you can't just keep trading or signing for these guys and try to fill the gaps. I think now they look at what their core has. I think Nico Hischier is going to have a breakout year. I think Jack Hughes is finally going to get accustomed to playing center, or, he's going to get accustomed to playing in the top six. Defense, I think, and, a lot of people say, it's because you watch the workout videos, but I think PK Subban's going to have a bounce back year. I like what David Severson has become for this team, and Mackenzie Blackwood's going to take another step.
That's bold. New Jersey.
That's very bold.
Yeah.
You're even saying it after they've lost Corey Crawford.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Alex, go ahead and introduce, and then Daniel, you can start with the North.
Okay.
The 2021 NHL North Division, brought to you by Scotiabank. You're richer than you think. That is a great slogan, by the way. That's hilarious.
I love that. That should be the preview of the episode.
That should be the name of the episode.
I think to start it, again, obvious, I'm going to use the James Myrtle article again to reference this, but, no more excuses. Toronto wins this division. Second for me, and I don't know, there's going to be a toss-up. So we're going to be kind of like a second place, but honorable mentions of this team goes second or third. So it's going to be between Montreal and Vancouver. I think that they have a lot of the pieces there to kind of make these runs. Montreal, again, I think they're a team where they didn't really say it out loud, but it's a kind of no excuses kind of thing either. They kind of are not stretching that talent they had anymore. Like, we're seeing
they've said that they have to win now.
Yeah. Like they don't have the Arteri Lehkonen playing on like the top six anymore. I think that's just one example I think of that they've been able to add a lot of talent there and they could contend. Vancouver, a bit of step back with the depth, but I like what they've been able to kind of foster now. The fact that they're betting on Niels Höglander to be in that top six right now with Bo Horvat in the second line kind of shows that they still have a lot of things to figure out in terms of the youth, but it's going in the right direction. And, Quinn Hughes, excellent player. Travis Halmanick, another stay-at-home defenseman kind of guy that wants to stay in the West Coast to stay with his family. I think that's going to be a great addition. Thatcher Demko, and Braden Holtby, I think great balance. Holtby looks great when he has that opportunity to not have to play the bulk of everything. He doesn't have to be a guy that plays 70 games a season. So I think it's a perfect situation for them. So that's my 2 and 3. Fourth will either be, and I don't know why I'm counting out Calgary, but I'm counting out Calgary because I like what Winnipeg has. But at the same time, it's kind of tied with Calgary because Calgary is more of the consistent model, while Winnipeg is going to be up to Patrick Laine on if he wants to stay and what we're going to kind of get out of him as he enters a contract year, what he wants to do, whether or not he wants to embrace that I'm going to stay with Winnipeg long-term or, let me out. Because I think when he does that, that just disrupts the team. With Calgary, subtle, no excuse kind of thing too. They have the talent. They have added a lot of pieces. And, one biggest thing the last, I'll say 5 years, because I think this all started 2016 when they got Brian Elliott at the draft, that no excuses at goaltending anymore.
I agree. Okay, no, I'll hold up.
I know I named like literally the whole division there except Edmonton.
Yeah, sorry. So once again, can you just quickly say who's 1, 2, 3, 4 officially?
Yes. So Toronto. Toronto, Montreal,
Okay.
Vancouver,
Okay.
Calgary with an asterisk that might be Winnipeg instead of them.
Okay. All right. And then the Sens and the Oilers can get out. All right.
Yeah.
Alex, would you like to go next?
Sure. I have the Leafs number one. I think what Daniel said, I think it's really a big year for the team because, for how many years in a row, it's just been, okay, got to get Pat. We'll come in third. That's okay because, it's Boston and Tampa. I don't think there's any real excuses in front of them, in my opinion. They added guys who I think are really going to help the team. And I mean, we'll see next week, like this week, it's going to be interesting to see what it looks like in a real game, not some scrimmage. Plus, I think Freddie Anderson's entering a contract year. Last year seemed to be a bit of a shaky year. So I think he has a lot to prove. Number two is Montreal. I mean, Daniel said a lot. Like I think Montreal made, and I brought this up last episode, I think they made additions to prove that they want to at least make some type of push, anything, because I think they recognize that this year is actually a really good year to do that because you're in the Canadian division. And yes, there's good teams, but I think it's very easy to move up the ladder quickly within this division. And I think they've done that through the moves that they've made. Number three, it's so unfortunate I have to do this, but I am. Number three is Edmonton. Like, I don't necessarily think they got better, but I think they added more offense. And I think this division is going to be a lot of offense-driven games. And that's how Edmonton's going to come out on top of some of the games. I mean, I don't trust Mikko Koskinen and Mike Smith. They don't have Oscar Klefbom. They brought in Tyson Barrie. Like, they're really relying on their offense, and it's going to be a lot on McDavid and Draisaitl. So we'll see. Number four, I have Calgary. I think adding Markstrom and actually making a really good tandem in Markstrom and David Rittich, adding Chris Tanev and despite losing Brody and Hamonic, I think they have guys in the system that can, make strides. Rasmus Anderson, Juuso Valimaki, Oliver Shillington. These are guys that are going to take next steps. Plus, having Noah Hannafin, who's only 23, and Mark Giordano, who's 37, but still a good player. And I think there's the guys up front, especially Monahan and Goudreau, know that this is going to be a very important season for them. No doubt. And I think that's why they're going to make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. All right. First off, we'll just agree kind of unanimously, Ottawa's going to be last.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to be a disaster, by the way, but they're going to be fun.
Hopeful bottom seed.
They're going to be fun to watch. They've always been fun, but they're not going to be an easy win. I think the moment a team goes into Ottawa and thinks we're going to win tonight, they're going to lose. They're going to steal some points. Okay. I'm actually going to go 4-1 here. Fourth, I have Calgary. The thing with Calgary that has always plagued them, and they would have beaten Dallas last year if they didn't have a disaster in that. And we saw what Markstrom was able to do with a very flawed Vancouver team. And he's going to help Calgary go leaps and bounds. I really do.
Yeah.
And I like a lot of the Vancouver guys they stole. I really like them. And I'm a big fan of Sean Monahan. And Johnny Gaudreau is still wicked good. And like Alex said, those guys are going, my prediction, they're going to look back to what we thought, the 70 or 99 point player that Johnny Gaudreau was. Third, I have Winnipeg. Because they still have a disgusting top six. Mm-hmm. I mean, Ehlers and Laine, and I don't think his contract's going to distract him one bit. Because, that interview with him, he's like, I'm here. And that's it. That's Laine. The man is confident. He will, if he scores 30, even in the shortened season, I will not be surprised. Wheeler, I hate his contract, is still disgusting. Mark Scheifele is amazing. Kyle Connor, by the way, might be the most underrated forward in this division. And Hellebuck might have no gas like last season when he gets to the playoffs. But we know he is good enough to carry that load. And maybe Laurent Brossoit surprises us. And they took a step forward with the defense. Not a massive one, just a single step. But I really like Winnipeg. And do you know what? I'll be honest. If Winnipeg somehow win the division, I wouldn't be surprised either. I'm high on them. Okay. By the way, the Oilers, I just thought I'd mention them. They leaked goals, added Tyson Barrie, lost Clefbaum, and didn't address the goaltending. I don't see them taking a step forward at all. Chris Johnson saying that they were the biggest competition for the Leafs, I thought was such a reach. Such a reach.
And these reaches people have these days.
Well,
the reaches people have these days.
But I have Toronto second. Because I hear all of this
the Nordiques
about how close, obviously, the Nordiques. Arizona are somehow in this division now. All of this talk about how close this division is and everyone just giving it to Toronto. And this can be said for every team in this division. No Canadian team has proved a damn thing except Vancouver, and they lost so much of their team. So I'm not going to give it to Toronto. Now, they should. If I was a betting man, which I am not, because I've spent all my money on my Lego, you would probably say Toronto, but they're going to make the playoff. Like if there's a certain team, but do I have Montreal first? Well, yes, I do. No, it's actually Ottawa. No. Okay. I think the Canadians are the deepest team in this division, without a question. Not in the league. That may be like Colorado at this point. But Montreal, I think way too many people are sleeping on them and saying like third and fourth. No. It's like everyone forgot that they added 2 top 6 level players. And like you look at the ability that a guy like Anderson has. First of all, he is so big. Like they have not had a player like that on this team forever. People are gonna fall in love with him. And I think he's going to take this division by storm. And then we all forget about like Toffoli in that. Suzuki is just so good. The power play is going to be completely different. I'm not saying it's going to be top 5, but it's going to be out of the bottom 10. And I love their goaltending. I seriously, and I'm ignoring the tattoo on my leg, the jerseys I own, the YouTube channel that I have. I seriously think the Canadians have a shot of winning this division. Now, we did spend a very, very long time on that. So we might want to go through our award winners quickly. But first off, who do you guys have winning the Stanley Cup itself? I'll start with you, Alexander.
Colorado.
Okay, good. Daniel, who do you have?
I have Tampa winning it back-to-back.
Okay.
That's not what I thought you were going to say.
I also have Colorado, by the way.
I thought you were going to say Minnesota or something.
I didn't even have them in a playoff.
I meant Anaheim. I thought you were going to have Anaheim.
They were the unlocked team that you know, when you're playing deep into the playoffs, you unlock them or something.
Yeah.
All right. Who do you guys have winning the 2-on-1 podcast MVP award of prestige and honor? Because we don't want to use the Hart or the Lindsay. Who do you have winning the MVP, Alex?
Connor McDavid. I don't have to explain it.
Daniel.
Alexander Barkov.
See, that's an outside bet, but I think it's a good one. I think he's underrated when it comes to the great players in this league. I love Barkov.
Mm-hmm.
Great contract, by the way. I have Nathan McKinnon. He'll finally win an MVP trophy. I don't think he'll lead the league in scoring, but the guy should have an MVP right now. He's been robbed the last couple of years. Okay, the Norris Trophy, which in this show's mind is just best offensive defenseman. Alex.
No, still going Victor Hedman.
Okay.
If that's the easy pick.
Yes, Daniel.
Victor Hedman.
Okay. Erik Karlsson will be back, and he's coming.
I thought about Erik Karlsson.
Yeah,
I really did, but I didn't know. It was too much of a gamble for me.
We have what we
too much of a Dylan Gambrell for you. Okay.
We also have what we call the Fulton Reed Trophy, which goes to the best defensive defenseman. What the Norris Trophy probably should be. Alex.
Again, I have Victor Hedman.
Daniel.
Jonas Brodin.
That's a good shout. That's a guy who doesn't talk about guys who don't get the attention they deserve. I also have Victor Hedman. You guys remember my first show back for my surgery, and how with the swelling I was sort of like, yeah, Victor Hedman's so good. I love him so much. All right, the Rocket Richard Trophy, Alex.
This might be a little biased, but I don't think I've been that biased this episode. So I'm gonna go with Austin Matthews.
That's a fair shout. I almost had 50 last year. Would have hit it if the season was not shortened. Daniel.
Austin, no excuses, Matthews.
Okay. I actually went with Patrick Laine, and I did not go anti-Leafs. I went Patrick Laine.
It's 2016 all over again.
That's a good show.
Okay. Scoring leader, the Yacht Ross. Who do you think it's going to be, Alex?
Nathan McKinnon.
Nathan McKinnon?
I think he's going to absolutely murder half the teams in that division.
Dan the man.
I had Connor McDavid.
I also had McDavid, just because I feel like people are heading towards that he's heard this McDavid, Draisaitl and McKinnon are the best, and then there'll be motivation for him. I like that idea. I would love to see McDavid just, not against the Canadians, obviously, but I would love to see him just go ham like that. Like him on the power play this year is going to be something to watch. Like whenever they play the Sens, like that defense, watch him target Goodbranson all game. It's going to be fantastic.
It's unfortunate he's going to have to play next to Josh Archibald.
Yeah, that's oh god. The Jack Adams, which is the coach, of course, that is a pleasant surprise. Going with that, I have Buffalo making the playoffs. I have it going to Ralph Kruger. What about you, Alex?
I actually have it going to Claude Julien. I think there a lot, like you said, there's a lot of the media who underestimate the Montreal Canadiens, and I think the difference between first and second in the North Division really isn't going to be as big as they're making it out to seem. And I think because Montreal finishes second and it's a tight race, they give it to Claude Julien.
Mm-hmm. Daniel.
I have Travis Green. Two things. He's a Leafs legend. Also, I don't know. It's just the system he's been able to kind of establish there. He's been with the organization for so long in the AHL that he is the perfect guy to kind of lead this group of, emerging talent of a team that finally, outside of the Sedins, they have an identity.
Talk about players having contract years. Travis Green is on one. And imagine he wins the Jack Adams. You love to see it. Jim Gregory for General Manager of the Year, Alex.
I have two. I have, and this is solely based on how they perform, because this it's an odd one, because it's like, okay, I know that on paper they look great, but on the ice it's different. It's Mark Bergevin and Joe Sakic.
Okay. Sakic probably should have won that last year, by the way.
He really should have.
Daniel.
I have Joe Sakic because of what he already did, has done for the team, and I'm like, he should have won it. And then he gets Devin Taves, and then again I look back, I'm like, and then they have Bowen Byram come
and Brandon Saad.
Yeah,
they traded nothing for Brandon Saad. Sorry, Nikita Zadorov.
And he finally gave a chance to World Junior legend Connor Timmins.
Well, I mean, Timmins was hurt.
I know, but you love that story.
Yeah, doctors gave him a chance, really. I've said on the show before, I'm going to stick by it. If the Canadians make the playoffs, which I think they will, Bergevin should, I don't know how you don't at least have Bergevin on the ballot. That'd be insane to me. Okay, another custom award. We can't do the Brad Marchand embarrassment moment of the year. We can't do the Gordon Bombay power move of the year because the season hasn't happened yet. But I've asked you guys to give your biggest disappointment. Now, this can be a team or a player. Daniel, who do you have as your biggest disappointment? And then give me your biggest surprise as well.
Okay, biggest disappointment, and I've said it before, but it's just I just want to see how the season unfolds because of the schedule they have, but it might be the Vegas Golden Knights, and it's not because they have a lack of talent, but it's because they're just, again, so top heavy that you take away one player, maybe due to injury, maybe due to, all these protocols that are going on right now for tracing in the NBA. You take that one piece away from them, and that could really hurt them. If you, for example, a Mark Stone, a Max Pacioretty, or, a Shea Theodore or Alex Pietrangelo. You take away one of those, and I don't like what their depth looks like.
And who would be your biggest surprise?
Would be Aaron Ekblad. I believe he has gotten a lot of criticism for not leading the Panthers, for a lot of people saying, hey, it's been over 6 years. You're not really kind of becoming what we thought you were going to be when you went first overall. But again, defensemen take longer to develop. Florida is a bit more of a stable model now that I think he's going to continue to grow. And he's at a point now where he could become a leader for that team.
By the way, maybe teams making the playoffs and getting credit. Bill Zito might get some attention if the Panthers do well, by the way. Smart moves he's really done. Alex, your surprises, your disappointments, who do you got?
I'll start with my disappointment. I don't know if this is necessarily a disappointment, but I think there's always so much hype around this team that's going to turn into a disappointment. It's the Boston Bruins. Like the thing we always say about Pittsburgh, never count out Sidney Crosby, never count out Getty Malkin. And I think the same thing's being said here. Don't count out Patrice. Don't count out like whoever, David Krejci. But I think it's they lost Krug, they lost Chara. That back end is really not great. Like, yeah, Charlie McAvoy, yeah, Matt Grzelcyk, yeah, Brandon Carlo, but like they're missing something there. You know what I mean? Like, and I think it's going to turn out to be a disappointing season for Bruins and Bruins fans, and they deserve it because they've been so good for so long. And I hate that team. So you know what? Biggest disappointment, get out of here. Biggest surprise, I have two teams, the Buffalo Sabres for making the playoffs and the San Jose Sharks for making the playoffs. Because I don't think walking into the season, many people have that plan panned out. Okay.
My biggest disappointment, Alex, there's something with us today. We're on the same wavelength. I said Boston. God, I don't want them to be good anymore. Get out of here. Stop it. Like when we go back to the Atlantic next year, I want them bad. I don't want the Canadiens fighting for third or a wild card anymore. I'm sick of it.
They should just keep these divisions. They should just keep these divisions. Sponsored by Honda, Mass Mutual, Discover, and Scotiabank.
Did you see, though, apparently Bill Daly was on Tim and Sid, and the title of the video was the Canadian division is one and done. And
I know.
No. Because it's so good.
That would require some type of competence.
Yeah. My biggest surprise is this guy. Honestly, I could look really bad for this pick because everything above this guy in his lineup has just disappeared. I think Dylan Strome is going to rise to the challenge this year.
I love that.
Now, because someone will have to score for this team beside Patrick Kane, obviously. He might honestly get to play with DeBrincat again, because they want that junior connection. Have Cade, and I mean, he has the chance with Doc and Taves being out, and just there's been this air about Dylan Strome that he was this high pick, and people were always like, oh, it's because he was on the area with Connor. I would really like to see Strome take that a nice big step. Because it makes the Coyotes look even worse, which I'm always
Nick Schmaltz.
Yeah, I'm Nick Schmaltz. I'm a fan of Strome. I like him a lot. So
was it because he was a real junior captain?
I didn't even know that. But
2017.
Yeah, I mean, did they win? Was that the bad?
That was the shootout loss against the U.S.
Oh yeah, that was
when we didn't like Troy Terry, but then we came to our senses later on. We're like, okay, he was a Ducks pick.
Well, if Dominique Ducharme had been playing Noah Juleson instead of Thomas Chabot 50 minutes, we would have. I'm kidding. No, Chabot was disgustingly great that year. Okay, I'm just throwing on the Twitter. I know during the show I popped on to try and find some Tony DeAngelo stuff, but then I saw that apparently the Canucks had stuff shut down. But beside that, it looks like we're not missing anything.
No, you know what the worst thing's going to be though with Boston is we're going to hit the trade deadline. They're not going to be in the playoffs. They're going to trade off their assets. Krejci's a UFA, Halak and Rask are UFAs, and they're going to get such a high pick. They're going to get Owen Power first overall, and their defense is going to be fine.
I hate the Boston Bruins.
That's what's going to happen.
Again, lads, let's hold on to these predictions and we can look back on the season because it will be done like that, honestly. The end of the season is going to be so sneaking up on us. But yeah, I guess on Wednesday, that's our next episode.
Yeah.
We will be doing a preview on the Leafs and the Canadiens game. And then who knows, on Sunday, we might not have Sunday because we might kill each other by the end of it because Leafs and Habs games. Oh, God, we're going to have 10 games. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be so great this season.
Daniel's going to have to be the mediator.
And then he'll say, guys.
But the Ducks.
The Ducks are in the playoff spot. We won their first place because Gibson went on a heater. Let's go.
Are we going to do it once a week? We're going to do the Anaheim Ducks playoff check.
Playoff watch by the Anaheim Ducks. Presented by Honda.
Voice Add to You presents the Let's Check on the Ducks portion of the show. I guess that is everything.
No.
Thank you always, as Voice said, for being a fantastic platform for the show. If you're checking us out on iTunes, because we're there, we're anywhere you listen to a podcast, on the Spotify and that follow on iTunes, leave a 5-star review. Let us know in the comments of the YouTube section, which you should check out. Who do you think is going to be the biggest surprise or disappointment this season? Who do you have finishing first in the North Division? Because it might be the closest run when it comes to divisions this year. Honestly, should be that or the Capitals division, because I forgot if that's the Central or if that's the other thing. I don't know. I think it's the Central, though. Go check out Alex's blog. Daniel, we're figuring school's back this week, so can we say what you're doing yet?
We'll have Will Bodwood on the show. We
really do need to have Will. Like, seriously, we do. You know what? Do you guys? Let's see. I'll ask you after the show about this.
Okay.
They're gonna call him right now.
No.
Get him on the phone.
The YouTube, I said the YouTube portion.
Yeah.
Check out my YouTube channel for all your Habs needs. 294 views is the Corey Perry video. Let's freaking go. I think it's. I'm gonna check this. Is it my most viewed video? It is.
Wow.
150 views. Let's
There
go.
we go.
Corey Perry is the guy. Not Tyler Toffoli. Shout out to Daniel who just put a heart on screen. I think that's everything. Yeah.
That's everything?
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
All right. Bye.